say isolation kills the soul, but what if for you it's the only thing keeping it alive? What if staying home isn't a weakness, but your mind's last defense against a world that no longer feels real? You tell yourself you're just tired. You say you need a break from people and from noise, from everything. But deep down you know it's more than that. There's a strange comfort in silence, a warmth in the absence of people. When the world outside feels heavy, you find peace in shutting the door, in hearing nothing but your own breathing. You scroll through messages you never replied to. You think about people you used to know, and feel nothing but distance. It's not that you hate them, you've simply outgrown the noise. The quiet became your home, and part of you is scared that maybe you actually like it too much. We call it isolation. But what if it's something deeper? What if your mind is craving this solitude for a reason? Why you secretly crave isolation, the psychology behind staying home. You weren't always like this. There was a time you craved connection, laughter, noise, company. But slowly, something in you changed. Every conversation started to feel scripted, every smile rehearsed, and the world too loud to think, too fast to feel, so you began to pull away. At first it was subtle, declining a few invites, canceling a few plans. But soon it became your default state. You weren't avoiding people anymore. You were protecting yourself. Psychologists call this emotional withdrawal, a defense mechanism your brain builds when the world becomes overstimulating. It's your mind's way of saying, enough. I can't keep pretending. Because when you've been drained for too long, by people who never listen, by routines that feel hollow, by a society that worships performance over peace, your brain begins to crave stillness the way a drowning man craves air. This is why staying home feels so natural. Why the silence doesn't scare you, it soothes you. It's not loneliness you're drawn to, it's safety. In solitude, nothing demands a version of you. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to perform. You can finally exist, unfiltered. And that's the paradox. The more isolated you become, the more honest you feel. You used to think you were social, the kind of person who thrived in laughter, noise, and company. You'd scroll through your contacts, plan meetups, fill your weekends, because silence once felt like emptiness. But somewhere along the line, something changed. The world outside began to feel heavier. Not in a physical sense, but like it demanded a version of you that no longer existed. The conversations became noise. Words bouncing off walls with no meaning behind them. You'd nod, smile, say all the right things, but deep down you felt disconnected, as if you were speaking through glass. The small talk became exhausting. The jokes, predictable. The smiles, mechanical. And every outing started to feel like a performance you didn't sign up for. So you began to pull back just a little. You skipped a gathering, canceled a plan, told yourself, I'll go next week. But next week turned into next month, and next month turned into never. Then one day you looked around and realized you hadn't been out in weeks. And strangely, you didn't even miss it. Because every time you stepped outside, it felt like the world was draining you. Like every conversation was stealing a piece of your peace. Everyone was talking, but no one was really saying anything. And so you started craving the quiet. Not because you were antisocial, but because silence finally made sense. You began to notice the beauty in stillness. The faint hum of the fan, the distant echo of traffic fading into the night, the glow of streetlights melting through thin curtains. The world was still moving, but you didn't feel the need to chase it anymore, and maybe, just maybe, this isn't loneliness. Maybe it's your soul whispering, I'm tired of pretending. I just want to exist. And for the first time, you let that stillness wrap around you, not as a cage, but as a kind of freedom. You start to realize silence was never empty. It was full of everything you'd been running from, the thoughts you buried, the emotions you muted, the version of yourself you left behind just to survive. And now in this stillness, they return. Not to haunt you, but to remind you that you're still human. You sit there maybe with a cup of tea, hearing nothing but the hum of the world outside your window. And somehow that small sound feels like enough. You begin to see that peace isn't found in escaping noise. It's found in understanding it. You start to accept that maybe you were never meant to fit in with the chaos. Because when everything slows down, you notice things others miss. The way light falls across the floor, the rhythm of your breath, the quiet conversations between your thoughts. And in that moment, you realize you're not broken. You're just someone who feels deeply in a world that forgot how to. The quiet didn't isolate you. It saved you. It gave you space to feel, to think, to just be, without the performance, without the pretending. And maybe that's what healing actually looks like. Not loud, not dramatic, but quiet. Like a morning that doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. You've spent so long trying to fix yourself, to be more social, more available, more normal. But what if there was never anything wrong with you? What if solitude isn't something to escape, but something sacred to protect? The world tells you that being alone means you're missing out. But maybe being alone is how you finally meet yourself. Because in silence, you start to hear the truth. That peace isn't found in other people, it's found in presence. In small, quiet things that don't ask for attention. The sound of rain against your window, the warmth of sunlight crawling across your skin, the rhythm of your own heartbeat reminding you you're still here. You start to realize maybe you were never craving isolation. You were craving authenticity, a place where you could exist without shrinking, without performing, without noise, and so you begin to breathe again, slowly, deeply, as if each inhale rebuilds the parts of you that were lost in the crowd. The world will always demand more. But peace asks for nothing. It only waits for you to listen, so let it. Let the silence hold you. Let the stillness remind you that you were never behind, never broken, never less than whole. You just needed time. Time to be quiet. Time to be real. Time to come home to yourself. It's okay to need peace. It always was. Maybe peace was never meant to be loud. Maybe it was always meant to be quiet. A whisper you could only hear once the world stopped shouting. You see, silence has a language of its own. It doesn't need words to explain itself. It just exists, like the slow drift of sunlight across the floor, or the way dust dances in a single beam of light. And when you finally stop chasing noise, you start to understand that stillness isn't the absence of life. It's the presence of it. Because the truth is, you were never running from people. You were running back to yourself. Every moment of solitude, every quiet night, every unanswered message, it all led you here, to this moment, to this peace. And one day when you're ready, you'll step outside again. Not because the world demands it, but because you'll want to. Because this time you'll know who you are. And that makes all the difference. Until then, stay still. Stay soft, stay human. Because even in your silence, you are growing. You are healing. You are enough.